Just talk to her when you answer though.
Okay.
Or you can look at me, she can get a good shot on you. Tracey, how did you grow up with the Bay? Your family, kids, what's your story with the Bay?
As a small child, just look at her. My grandparents lived on Botkin Creek, which is just above Gibson Island. And so actually my sister and I, as young girls, lived for a couple years with my grandparents. And we would wake up in the morning, go out to the pier, grab a crab net. In the summertime, we would go along the bulkhead and scoop up soft crabs and then take them into my grandmother, and she had the iron skillet and would fry up soft crabs for us for breakfast, lunch, whatever it was. In the evenings, we would go to the neighbor's house because he had this big floodlight, and we would fish off of his pier. And there was a rowboat there. My great-grandfather was there, and he had a rowboat. My sister and I would go out in the rowboat and just try to row around Botkin Creek. And in the wintertime, and when I was a child, it was a lot colder here in Maryland, so the creek would freeze over all the time, and there were ice skating parties every weekend. There was a bar set up on the dock, bonfire on the bulkhead, and we would just ice skate all day. And that was growing up on the Chesapeake Bay. And
what type of changes have you seen in the Bay since then? What's happening with the Bay in your mind? Since obviously you can't do some of that stuff you're talking about.
What has happened, I believe, is, there are a lot of dead zones, or there's too much pollution that's coming down from, as far away as Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And, I've heard that a lot of it is caused by the farming, even here on the shore, but the shore's always been, farmland. I also believe that, they overfished the oyster population. I understand how critical that is to clean up the Chesapeake Bay.
Do you have hope for the future in us working with the Bay? I mean, do you see the fact that the fact that there's a problem becoming a bigger issue, do you feel?
No, I think it's been a huge issue for the last 20 years, and I don't think anyone is serious, in however far you go in the government to want to clean up the Bay.
Right. So if you could tell your kids, what would you tell your kids about the Bay? In terms of saving it?
We are, we reduce, reuse, recycle at home. We don't use fertilizers. I teach my son, about, again, the pollution that goes into the Bay, and what we drop on the street goes into, whatever, into the sewer or whatever, in a drain, and it just dumps back out into the Bay. And, styrofoam, horrible, and
So is that good, the fact that we're conscious of it now?
I don't think we're conscious enough about it now. Yeah, it's good. And I'm not sure if my son would even know what to do, and he didn't grow up like I did, so he doesn't. I mean, the Chesapeake Bay is my white fire. I mean, it just it gives me energy, and he didn't grow up in the same environment that I did, so I'm not sure if he will be the solution to it. I think it's still with us, those of us that did grow up on the Bay, to do something about it.
All right, last question. If you were a mad scientist, what invention would you invent? If you could invent anything in the world to help the Bay, what would you invent?
A mad scientist that could reproduce the oysters that used to be here and put them all over the Bay. So I would create, mass produce oysters to clean up the Bay.
Excellent.
Got it.